education, I haven't got work, but you're a human being. And you know what you've got? You've got in your hand the power to use your vote and to use even those few cents you get from welfare to spend them only where you want to spend them. Remember that. A young slave boy stood one day before the greatest ruler of his day. And God said to Moses, "What's in your hand?" And Moses said, "Lord, only I've got a stick, that's all." He said, "Well, let me use what's in your hand." And God used that slave boy with a stick in his hand to divide the Red Seas, march through a wilderness, bring water out of rocks, manna from heaven, and bring his people to freedom land. What's in your hand? What's in your hand? George Washington Carver, who was so frail that he was traded for a broken-down horse as a slave boy. And George Washington Carver, sitting in the science laboratory at Tuskegee, told me, he said, "Dr. Powell," he said, "I just go out in the fields each morning at 5 o'clock, and I let God guide me. And I bring back these little things and work them over my laboratory." And that man did more to revolutionize the agricultural science of peanuts and of cotton and sweet potato than any other human being in the field of agricultural science. What's in your hand? Just let God use you, that's all. What's in your hand? I've got a string in my hand, that's all, and I'm flying a kite. And way up in the heavens, lightning strikes it. And I, Benjamin Franklin, discover for the first time the possibilities of electricity with a string in my hand. What's in your hand? Little hunchback sitting in a Roman jail? I haven't got anything in my hand but an old quill pen, but God says, "Write what I tell you to write." And Paul wrote, "I have run my race with patience. I've finished my course. I've kept the faith. Henceforth there's laid up for me accountability." What's in your hand, little boy? All I've got is a slingshot, and the enemies of my people are great and big and more numerous than we are. Well, little David, go down to the brook and pick out a few stones and come on back and close your eyes if you want to and pull back that slingshot and let him go. And David killed the biggest enemy, the leader of the giants, against his people, and his people became free, just letting God guide a stone in his hand. And a few years passed, and David is a king. And God says, "What's in your hand?" He said, "I've got a harp in my hand." He said, "Well, David, play on your harp." And he played, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Maketh me to lie down in green pastures, leadeth me beside still waters. Yea, though I walk through the valley and the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil." What's in your hand? What's in your hand? Man hanging on a cross? I've got 2 nails in my hand. Father, I stretch my hands to thee. No other help I know. If thou withdraws thyself from me, whither shall I go? And that man, with 2 nails in his hand, split history in half, BC and AD. And what's in your hand tonight, people of Cambridge? You've got God in your hand, and he'll let you win because he's on your side and one with God, always in the majority. So walk with him and talk with him and work with him and stick together and fight together. And with God's hand in your hand, the victory will be accomplished here sooner than you dreamed, sooner than you hoped, sooner than you prayed for, sooner than you imagined. Good night, and God bless you. As I know here you're in trouble, where it says about...
I wanna leave my footprint on the sand of time. Know there was something that meant something that I left behind. When I leave this world, I'll leave no regrets. Leave something to remember, so they won't forget I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will leave my mark, so everyone will know I was here. I wanna say I lived each day until I died, and know that I meant something in somebody's life. The hearts I have touched will be the proof that I leave, that I made a difference, and this world will see I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will leave my mark, so everyone will know I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will leave my mark, so everyone will know I was here. I just want them to know that I gave my all, did my best, brought someone some happiness, left this world a little better, just because I was here. I was here. I lived, I loved, I was here. I did, I've done everything that I wanted, and it was more than I thought it would be. I will leave my mark, so everyone will know I was here. I lived, I was here. I did, I was here. I lived, I was here. I did, I was here.
Oh man, Beyonce at the United Nations, she said, I was here. She said, I'm going to make a difference in somebody's life because I was here. Wow. And everybody's here for a purpose, to make a difference, no matter what that thing might be. It might be taking a picture. Don't underestimate taking a picture, because
It's taken a lot of hard work
that
to get
is,
to where I am.
yeah, a lot of hard work.
I searched all around the world and I found myself.
Ooh, searched all around the world and found
Y'all
herself.
are my inspiration. I want to sing this last song dedicated to all of you guys.
Go ahead,
Help
B.
me sing it.
Beyonce.
I love you. Hope y'all had a good night, Rose.
She's a hard worker. I seen some of the work that she
I
see.
would like to thank the judges for picking me, my parents who I love you, Houston.
I want to leave my footprint.
Wow, man. Beyonce. Amazing. Amazing. But you know, my thing is, We all are here for a purpose. We all are special. We all have talents. We all have abilities. We all have gifts. We all have skills. And I call that your tags. Talents, abilities, gifts, and skills. And I was saying a few minutes ago, don't underestimate just taking a picture, because that's history being recorded. If you don't take that picture, if that picture's not taken, that moment might be in your memory, but to look at that picture and you go back to that moment. You know, Brother Smiley just called me and said, "Yeah, did you know I took a picture of you at Reverend Ike's service?" And Reverend Ike is one of the people that I listen to, and he teaches some very, very powerful success principles. And anybody that applies those principles will get results, but you have to apply them consistently. That's what this whole... Oh, wait, hold on. Let me get you right now. Say it again now.
That's the key word, man. It's application.
Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was just all caught up into Beyonce, and I was here, and I asked my guest, I said, "Why are you here?" He says, "Because you invited me here." So now I'm asking you again, why are you here?
Man, I'm here to create. I'm
Wow.
here to channel everything that's always been here in my own individual way, and impact as much as I can. Now that's my answer.
Okay. Let me tell you, when I met you, you blew my mind.
Oh,
And
thanks, man.
that's not easy to do. Because when you were talking to me, I wish I had a camera. I wish I was videotaping as you were speaking to me, because every word was coming out your mouth. I was like, yeah. I was like this, yeah. I was smiling like, yeah. I just wanted to jump to the ceiling and do a flip,
Oh man,
because it's an incredible story.
thank you.
So let's so people know. First of all, your name is incredible. It's like that's history. Your name
Yeah.
is John Henry. That's a story in itself.
Like the steel driving man.
Yeah,
Yep.
man. He was no joke, man. He had muscles everywhere,
Yep.
man. He took those two sledgehammers,
Like 6'2", 250 pounds.
solid muscle.
Yep.
John Henry. So just on the strength of that, it's like, how did you get a name like John Henry? How did that happen?
Man, I think my dad was a presser for a dry cleaner like years ago, and
You got to be kidding me.
yeah, and he was pressing at this dry cleaner, and he knew that my mom was pregnant, and my mom had named the last three of us as a family of four, and he was actually pressing a tie, and he was like, "Man, this is a really nifty tie," and he turned it around, and on the name of the label was John Henry.
Uh-huh.
So he's like, "Man, I really like this." And it turns out I did some research just a few years ago, and turns out that label was named after the steel driving man.
Wow.
Right? So it somehow came back.
Wow. That was amazing. You mind if we have some bed music? I'm gonna try something a little different.
All right, let's go for it.
Let's see. Real low.
Left behind when I leave this world.
So
I leave no regret.
let's take it back to the beginning, man. When I met you, man, you just shared an incredible story. You said that you met a young man who I would love to have as a guest on this show. Do you still have contact with him?
Which guy was that?
The one that went to prison.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's maybe 44 now, 45, but that's my boy. That's my close friend and mentor.
I know it is.
Yeah. He taught me a lot.
Now, most people would say, "Hey, why would you want to have a friend that did time in prison?" But so how did you become friends with him?
Yeah. So
Can we call his name? Can we say his name?
Yeah, his name is Hugo. I'll break it down. So
Yeah.
I was I don't know. I've always been a pretty intense person, right?
Yeah.
So anything that I do, I just like to go in. There's no really in between for me, right? So and all throughout my life, I had like different phases. I went through a phase where I was like selling stuff and out of school, just like selling it. I had like a little I don't know if you guys remember, but the Livestrong braces were really popular. So I would go and like buy them in bulk and then sell them like $3 each. And just like I had a number of different hustles, and I skated for a long time and I got pretty good. But then I would say my first like real passion was playing guitar. I was living in Florida in like a small like beach town called Jensen Beach. I had dreads, you know, I was like, and I was in a reggae band and stuff like that. And so that was cool, but it got really serious when I discovered jazz, man. When I heard jazz for the first time, it just hit me. I was like, whoa, what is this sound? It sounded unlike anything I had ever played. And I didn't even know what to call the sound, right? Because in this particular part of Florida, you know, no one's playing jazz or anything. No one was listening to jazz. And I was just telling all my boys, like, yo, what is this? What is this? No one knew. And I was going through all the Pandora stations, and I heard a faint trace of maybe what it was. And I discovered that to be smooth jazz. But as I continue my study, I figured out smooth jazz isn't even real jazz. And I had the Pandora station set to smooth jazz, but it was just too smooth. And then eventually, when I heard the sounds of Davis, I was like, wow.
Miles Davis?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, well, man, this is jazz. So anyhow, I fell in love with it. And I pretty much dedicated my life to it, I would say. I went through a period of like 2 to 3 years where I was playing 8 hours a day, not every single day, nonstop. Just practice, man. I mean, my buddies would say, yo, let's go out. I'd be like, nah. And I'd be like, but it's Friday night. I'd say, nah, man, I'm practicing. So I got really into jazz. And then eventually, once I graduated high school, I told myself I was going to become the world's greatest jazz musician. So that's why I moved up to the city, right? So I came here with my brother. I was like, yo, if it's gonna happen anyway, it's got to be here. So I came here, and just to make ends meet, I was working a bunch of dead-end jobs. I was like a delivery boy for a dry cleaner. I was a knife salesman. I did Amway. I sold leather jackets. I just did a bunch of stuff, and eventually I locked in a gig that I was okay with, which was being a doorman. And I always like to say, opening up doors for people, open up doors for me. That was just one of the greatest experiences I ever had, man. So I worked in 2 buildings. The first one, it was thinking back, I was really blessed. The first one was on Wall Street. It was on 75 Wall Street, and the exposure to wealth there was the first time in my life that I had really been exposed to literally the world's wealthiest people on a global level. I mean, you had the global heads of banks and contrary to what people were saying about Wall Street, because right at that time there was a whole Occupy Wall Street thing. These guys actually were nice people. They valued hard work, they valued savviness, they were kind, they were courteous, and they knew the value of $1, and they made it. At least some of them, but they made a lot of money. And I just remember the first time I went up into one of those apartments. Because I was handling the valet, like the packages and stuff. This one guy, he was a young guy too, man. He asked me, he was like, yo, can you help me up to my apartment with these packages? I was like, yeah, absolutely. And I walked up. We went up to the 38th story, 38 like K, I think it was. And it opened up the door, and he's like, oh man, because his hands were full. He's like, do you mind if you just set it down on that counter over there? I was like, yeah, man, absolutely. And I walk in, and I walk in and my own business, and I set the packages on the table, and then I look up, and I just got chills, man. It was floor to ceiling, glass windows on a duplex with like a spiral staircase on the inside. I mean, just the most beautiful thing I had ever seen, the most beautiful view. And I was just dazed, just looking out. And the guy noticed, and I turned around. I was like, oh man, this is incredible. He was like, oh, thanks, man. I said, so how old are you? He said he was like 28, and I asked him what he did. He said he was a broker, and I was like, wow. And so anyhow, that was my first real exposure to wealth, was in this building, Wall Street. I'll never forget. I met there was one of the residents in there. He was a scholar. His name was Dr. Ross, and he saw me reading this book this one time. It was called Atlas Shrugged. It's by Ayn Rand. It's a book, man. It's like 1,000 pages. Really small print, and he went to pick up his package one day, and he saw that, and he's like, whose book is that? And I said, it's my book. He goes, how old are you? I said, I was 18 at the time. He goes, why are you reading it? And I said, oh man, I really like the narrative, and the philosophy, is something that I enjoy. When I said philosophy, like, trigger something in his head. And so we started speaking, and I told him my deal a little bit, and I'll never forget, he looked at me and he said, you know what? He said, if you work hard enough and with a little bit of fortune, he said, I see greatness in you. And that to me was like, oh man, that's I was thinking about that for some time. But anyhow, to get to Hugo, fast forward a bit. So I was just working the valet in this building. I really wanted to be a doorman though, because the doorman had like the comfortable job. They didn't have to deal with any boxes and stuff. So eventually I was offered a job to be the doorman, which is a position I wanted, but it was out in Brooklyn. So I said, all right, I'll go. And this building changed my life, man. It was on the corner, or rather, it was on the waterfront in Williamsburg. It's called 184 Kent, and the building itself actually is it's huge. It's actually 4 buildings in one. Had 4 quads, A, B, C, and D. And it's actually a warehouse that's preserved by the Historical Landmark Preservation Center, because it was home to like Wild Turkey Bourbon and Sun Made Raisins, that raisin company. And so the developer who bought it, he was going to build a real big high rise, and they were like, dude, you can't touch the exterior because it's a landmark. So he made the best, what was in his hand, right? He made the best that he could do with the building. And he renovated. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, really futuristic on the inside, right on the water. But the real magic to the building was the people that lived inside. They, they were all different kinds. It was really diverse. Wall Street, it was mostly white older folk and a couple of like Indian, like, multimillionaire type of deal. But Brooklyn, there was young people, mostly young people, quirky, walking around with like, crazy style, big hairs, women, guys, black, white, Asian, Indian, absolutely everything. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. I want to take a part in this. So I left Wall Street and I started working there. And man, I was making $14 an hour, which for me was awesome. But the real money was the relationships that I was building. And I actually realized that right away, I would say. And it was strange to me that there were some guys who had been working in the building for years, and they didn't even know the residents by name. They didn't know anything. And I mentioned a little earlier, my dad was a presser, right? So my dad told me, he said, John, I'll never forget, he was like pressing a blazer, like a suit jacket. And I walked in to the dry cleaner like years ago because I just needed probably like $10 or something to go out with my friends. And he said, John, let me show you something. He doesn't say yo, but he's like, John, let me show you something. And he peeled back the suit jacket, the blazer, and on the inside it was wrinkled. And he steamed it and he ironed it out and he made it look pristine. And he said, John, no one's ever gonna see the inside of this blazer, but I know that on the inside it was wrinkled. So I did the best I could do with it, even though nobody's gonna see it, because I know, right? So it's all about your craft, regardless. Whatever you do it well, he taught me. Because I come from a family of immigrants, so my mom and pops are from the Dominican. And, we didn't really have a great upbringing monetarily, right? Because they were always chasing, like, low-paying jobs because either their skills couldn't transfer and they had a hard time learning the language and stuff like that. So my mom was a custodian, and my pops was working in dry cleaners and stuff. So anyhow, people might look at being a doorman as not necessarily a prestigious job, but for me, it was all about doing it well, like my dad taught me, right? So when I got in there, I knew I was going to take the whole building by storm. And I'm really good with names. I have a really good memory. So I started learning everybody's names, not only just the residents, but the names of their kids, the names of their dogs. When I would see them coming from work or whatever, I would, no one had to come up to me and ask me for their package, because I already knew, what apartment it was and everything like that. So when I would see them, I would go in the package room, get the packages ready, get the dry clean in. When they come in, hey, what's up, Rob? How was your day? All right, everything's good. All right, cool, man. How's your kids? Have everything ready. Make small talk. And I was genuinely interested in what a lot of these guys did. If some of them were bankers and I talked to them about finance, some of them were directors, I'd say, oh, man, how was that latest movie? And I started building genuine relationships. And I think people kind of caught on to that and they saw it. But then, anyhow, this particular building, my building, was huge. It was 338 apartments and 713 residents. Still don't forget. And we had a big parking garage in there. And the whole complex, actually, where all the buildings nearby were luxurious. And so there was this one guy who was walking around iced out. iced out. I mean, I'm talking about he had $100,000 watch on his wrist. It was an AP watch. He had bling bling, and he parked his car in my building, and then he lived across the street. So I would see him on the regular, and I asked my boys, like, yo, who is that? And they're like, oh, yo, that's Hugo. And I said, what's his deal? And they said, well, he owns all the dry cleaners here. I was like, oh, he owns dry cleaners. And he introduced himself to me. The first chance he got, real cool dude. He's like, hey, what's up, player? I was like, oh, man, what's going on, bro? He kept it real street, real good dude. And he said, listen, man, I run the dry cleaners here. If there's ever anything you need, I'm talking to, he goes, yo, there's not a single dry cleaner. They don't care about you. They look at you like a number. Yeah, at the same time, you're referring business to them, right? But he goes, not me, bro. For me, it's all about the people. So, you know, they're not going to clean your suits for free, but cleaning your suits isn't cheap. So send me your suits, send me your shirts. He goes, if you're going out to the club or whatever, you know, you got some clothes, some personal clothes that you need to clean, you know, send it to me. I'll take care of you. It's on the house. You know, I just want to look out for you guys. In the mornings, he would get us a coffee, you know, stuff that cost him $1, but was building relationships. And as a result, man, we just had Hugo's back. Anytime a resident came in, because it was a rental building and the apartments were constantly being turned around. So anytime a resident came in, we already knew that we were going to say, hey, yeah, use satellite cleaners. That's my boy Hugo. He does a good job, etc. So I started building this real cool relationship. I didn't know much about him, right? But I was working the overnight from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. and then going to school in the morning. I had a terrible shift. And that's really kind of when it started. He came up to me one day because he worked long hours. He came home late one night. And he goes, John, what do you do with your time? I said, you know, Facebook, you know, games, movies, trying to get at girls. And he laughs and he goes, well, why don't you do something with your time? And that's when he told me, he said, John, I said, how old are you? At this time, I was 19. So I said, I'm 19. He goes, John, when I was 19, I was standing in front of a judge. I was standing before a judge, and I got sentenced to 18 years in prison for a double homicide, and I didn't get out till I was 37. And but by the time I met him, he was 44, and he was already a millionaire. And so I was looking at, I was in disbelief. I was like, whoa, wow, that's insane. And he said, John, it's all about what you do with your time, right? Because money comes and goes, clothes come and go, all the resources come and go, but time is just the one thing that you just don't get back. And he had to learn that the hard way. So he put a little like ad on my table, right? He thought I was savvy with computers. I'm not really, maybe a little bit more than he was. But so he said, work on this ad and you know, do something constructive. So I worked on it all night. It was like maybe 11:30 when he gave me the project, and I had nothing to do, man. I mean, the building really goes quiet at night. So I was just working on the ad. 7 a.m., bright and early. He was the first one up and the last one down. So bright and early, he walks right in the building, and I had the ad already ready for him. I was like, here you go, man. And he's like, wow, this is pretty good. So I think he was more impressed by my hustle more than anything, you know, that I would finish it in a day, in a night. And so we started building this relationship, and you know, in the meanwhile, I was building relationships with all the residents. I was becoming pretty well liked. Safe to say, I was the best doorman and the favorite doorman, and yeah. So we started building this camaraderie. He would give me more projects. I was learning a little bit more about him, and eventually, is when the gold happened. He said, John, I got a business opportunity for you. I think you'll do well with it, and that's what really opened up kind of the heavens for me. He said, so he owned a chain of dry cleaners. That's how he made his money. He actually owned like 12 of them, and owned a couple of laundromats, a couple of cleaners. They all ran themselves. He hustled, man. He was first one up, like I said, just working. He did a lot of the work himself. And he said, so I'll let you use my plant, which is the dry cleaning facility, right, where the actual work gets done, where the clothes gets cleaned. So to put up a plant, it could cost you $1 million because the machinery and the equipment is expensive, right? So it's kind of a high cost, high barrier to entry, cost of entry point. So anyhow, so he goes, yeah, you bring me the stuff, man. I'll charge you real cheap, like 50 cents or $1. Like, you know, no one's gonna give you a better rate. You go out there, you find some people, convince someone to give you their clothes, and you charge them the market rate. So this sweater that I have on right now might cost me $6 or $7 to dry clean. It was costing me $1. So that's a pretty good chunk of change that I was making.
That's very good.
Per piece, right? So I was like, all right, this could work. So I'll never forget, man. I had like my cheap doorman suit. I invested like $200 into cheap flyers and cheap like business cards. I called my first cleaners just John Henry Cleaners. That's the only, right? Might as well name it after myself. And I never forget, like I made like the logo was like it almost looked like the Arm & Hammer logo, but it turns out I didn't realize it, but it looked like the communist insignia. Like maybe like a month or two down the line, people started calling me commie cleaners. I was like, oh. So I ended up rebranding. But anyhow, I made the flyers and stuff, and I started hustling, man. And the first place that I went to was Harlem, right? Because I wasn't even living here at the time, but something about Harlem kind of clicked for me. And man, I really say if you believe, if you just go for it with kind of an open heart, man, and have faith, things open up to you. But if you're chasing your path and you don't have faith and you have reservations and you're scared and you're trying to figure out how to do it, it doesn't really work. Like the universe won't conspire with you.
Hold up. Say that one more time.
Yeah. So you gotta have faith, man. And
okay.
And if you're chasing a goal and you can't see the end of it, then you know the goal is big enough, right? A lot of people won't embark until they have everything figured out. But if they have everything figured out, it wouldn't take faith. And when you have faith, brother, the universe conspires with you. All the right people that you need to meet show up. I mean, look, you just called me last night. You're like, yo, hey, come to the show. And it was exactly what I was wanting to do. I mean, everything conspires with you when you're in harmony with this thing that I call the source, right? Which is the creator. And when you have reservations, though, when you have resistance, that's ego, that's fear, that blocks you off from this source. So I try to keep the link as pure as possible, as pure as I can for a 22-year-old in the city, right? But anyways, so
22 now? Yeah,
I just turned 22 in January. But yeah, man. So I just started hustling. And that's how I met Hugo, bro. That's that whole story, and then there's a whole story beyond that. But I hope that give you a bit of insight. Like that was one of the most important relationships in my life, man, because he showed me, yo, if you have an idea, all you got to do is act on it, and it'll become a reality, right? So I planned like this whole John Henry Cleaners thing for a while, and I was watching a guy. The whole reason I mentioned my whole time on Wall Street. It's because wealth, for me, never felt attainable, right? I was always making excuses, and I would always say, well, he's rich because he went to school, or they're rich because he comes from money, or they're rich because this or that, because he's white, and he doesn't know what it's like, and they say they were poor, but they're not as poor as we were growing up. Like, they don't really know. It's just not for me. And when I saw Hugo from scratch, not only did he come from scratch, but he got locked up, came out, scratch, still legally, I might add, built up his empire and became a millionaire. And you know what I like about it is he's not shy to show it, bro. He was driving around his M5 Beamer with all his ice, and he just pissed off the establishment. Like everyone's like, man, this guy's over here being all flashy, but hey, I say he worked for it. He hustles hard every day. Why not, bro? So that was my story with Hugo. Yeah.
That's pretty that's a pretty amazing story.
Yeah, man. He's got a story crazy within himself. He kind of broke it down to me, his rise one day. I was like, whoa.
So then you started taking the clothes to apartment buildings, to the door. You spoke to the doorman?
Yeah, so here's how it was happening, right? I was going to school. I was actually studying business at this time. I had switched from jazz. I was so influenced by the building and some of the opportunities. I was like, you know what, let me see if I can make something happen in business. So I was studying business and finance. I didn't really know what the hell I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to make a ton of money. So my logic was, well, you might as well study money. So I was like, I thought I wanted to go into finance, but some of the finance guys in the building were miserable. So anyways, I was doing business. I was going to school, working as a doorman. And then on my spare time, I was going to, all right, let me backtrack real quick. So there was a management company in the building where I was working, and the management company got fired, right, by the owner of the building. And the owner's a guy that I look up to a lot, but I'll mention that a little later. But he fired the management company. I don't know. I guess they weren't meeting their deliverables. And we thought as doormen that we were going to go, but we were a separate company. And so there was this big period of uncertainty. We're like, yo, who's going to, every day it was like, yo, who's going to go? We were seeing new people come in. This whole management company just bounced. But the property manager and I, the boss, we had a good relationship. And he always knew I was kind of trouble in the building because I didn't really fit the mold of what an employee should be. You know, I was always real creative. I was like, well, why don't we do this? I got an idea to improve that. And in the workplace, it's just not really encouraged or liked. But he, you know, him and I vibed. And he said, John, I'm moving to a building in Harlem. I'm going to go manage a property over there until and he wasn't happy about it because he didn't like Harlem. But until he got a bigger property in Jersey, he was going to have a small one in Harlem. So anyways, he left, and that's what planted the seed. Shit, maybe I should go to Harlem. So when I was doing this whole dry cleaning thing, I was going around doorman to doorman, building to building, hitting the pavement early every day in Harlem because I had my boy was managing this building there. So I called Joe.
Why were you going to the doorman?
Well, I realized, yo, if I'm a doorman, right, and I know that I'm the key to the building, and I saw what Hugo did for me, right? For me, Hugo was one of the smartest businessmen I knew because he was real untraditional. He was real kind of scrappy and street with it. And so what I started doing is I started going into each one of these buildings and going up cold without them knowing me and saying, hey, how you doing? My name is John Henry. I'm running a mobile dry cleaner, John Henry Cleaners. And I'll just give them the whole pitch, and they would be impressed. And, you know, they would maybe not take me seriously, but if they were starting to see me every single day, I was going every single day, and I was going with a coffee. I would ask them, yo, how do you guys like your coffee? Some of them like the light and sweet, dark and bitter. I was just showing up with $1, $1 coffee, but it meant the world to them. Same thing that kind of Hugo did for me.
Yeah.
And I would tell them, dude, I know that the doorman is the key to the building. I know because I'm a doorman. And, you know, management can say something, but then the residents don't care about what management says because they can't relate to management. So they'll go up to the doorman who they see every day, and they'll say, hey, man, what do you think about this? And I say, I understand that. And let's say the guy's name was Rick. I would say, yo, Rick, I understand that you're the key to the building. And you know, I would make them feel special and valued. And then, as, you know, icing on the cake, I would slip them, I would tell them, yo, I'll slip you $20 for every new customer you get me. I had to just get raw like that. And they were like, all right. So, you know, they started putting some of the residents in the building because they were in rental buildings. So as new residents came in, or as residents that were dissatisfied with the dry cleaners, because it happens often, people talk to the doorman when they go and they pick up the dry cleaner, like, oh, damn, I can't believe these guys took, you know, they were 3 days late. I missed my appointment. Or, wow, look at this, is wrinkle. It's still got a stain on it. And they would vent to the doorman for everything. The doorman knows everything in the building for the most part. And so that was a great opportunity for them to plug me in. They'd be like, oh, well, I got, you know, my boy John Henry. And they would slip him this flyer. And actually, I went to AT&T and I paid a guy like $200 to give me a 212 cell phone number. So these people, you know, they thought I had like a storefront and stuff like that. It was a real hustle, man. And but sure enough, they would leave me their clothes, and I would take the clothes all the way to Hugo's plant in Brooklyn. And I didn't have a car or anything. I was lugging sacks of dirty laundry from Harlem all the way to Brooklyn. People looking at me like I'm crazy with this heavy sack of laundry, or dirty, just smelling terrible. And like early in the morning, man, all the way to Brooklyn. And when it was clean, bring it all the way back, then go to school, then go to work. I mean, it was insane, bro. But that's what I was doing with the doorman.
Wow. Guess what?
What?
We need to take a break.
Let's take a commercial break. 90.3 FM.
Whcr 90.3 FM, New York.
Harlem.
And the other thing is that man, time just flew. Half of the show is done already, right?
Oh man.
We want to hear the rest of the story, but we need to take a quick break.
Sounds good.
And we're going to come back and we're going to continue this amazing story.
Sounds good, brother. Thanks for having me.
Let me just tell you real quick, though.
Talk to me.
The day before, a couple of days before, what day was that when I met you? You remember what day that was? It was a Sunday.
It was a Sunday, yeah.
It was a Sunday.
Yeah.
The day before I went to a meeting at Columbia University.
Uh-huh.
I taught boxing. I ran a boxing program there for 11 years. So when I was leaving the meeting, I'm walking on campus, and then all of a sudden I had this thing started happening. Like, whoa! Like I used to be here. Like I used to. This is, I had like a moment.
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? I used to hang out in the library. When I grew up, I didn't do that well in school.
Right.
But now, older, I'm hanging out in the library.
Wow.
That was like the place for me.
Wow.
And so I said, all right, let me walk over, because it's in the business school, the library I used to go to. So I'll go over there. I'm looking for the guy that we him got pretty cool. He wasn't working on weekends anymore. He used to work on weekends. I said, okay. So I walked out, and I went into the little cafeteria area.
Yeah.
And I walk in there, and I'm looking around. I spent a lot of time in there, and I see a book on the table. I look at the book, like, I frown my face, like, I look at the book. And the book is Outliners by Malcolm Gladwell.
Yes, sir.
So there was a young guy that was working in the store. I said, did you see who left this book? I wonder who left this book. He said, oh, that's my book. Huh? I said, he said, yeah, I'm reading it. He said, yeah, I'm reading it. He says, I says, how old are you? He says, 19. He says, I'm an intellectual. Like, what? I said, wait a minute, man. I said, we got to talk. And I'm going to connect. You got to meet this guy. But here's the thing about it that made it so special. He's Dominican.
Wow. Wow.
I said, wait a minute. I was like so, couldn't believe it, man. It was just an amazing experience.
Look at that connection.
Then, so I'm gonna make that connection. You got to meet this young man.
Definitely.
He's on the money. And then when he sent me, I sent him an email, and then he sent me an email back. He said, is there any books that you could recommend? I said, that got me. When he said that, I mean, come on, that was.
Yeah.
So then I go a couple of days later to the precinct, and I'm talking to the community affairs officer. There's 2 officers in there, and you know what? They gave me their Twitter handle, and I gotta find out what it is, because they wanted me to promote it on the air, and I was supposed to do it Sunday, but the show was so incredible, I forgot all about it.
Right.
But I'm gonna do that for them. They want me to promote their Twitter handle.
No doubt.
And I met the commanding captain over there.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm sitting in there, and I'm talking to the 2 officers, community affairs officers, and these 2 young men are sitting down, like cool guys, smooth young guys. And so we talked a little bit, and finally we got into a conversation. I forgot whatever I asked them. I'm always asking questions, and it was cool. It was nice young men, and I said. And I told them about you. I told your story, the part that I remember.
Yeah.
And that just really, they were like, wow, they loved it. And then I said, where y'all from? And come to find out they was brothers, but they was Dominican. I'm like, wait a minute, man, what's going on? Something's happening here.
There's something in the air.
There's something in the air. Man, we need to take a break, and we're going to get back to the story. You having a good time, man?
I'm having a great time, man. Thanks for having me. It's so early in the morning, and I wouldn't rather be anywhere.
I might have to go to Santo Domingo, man, and see what's going on. They breeding champions over there, man. Wow. Okay, let's take a quick break.
Sounds good.
I know the audience wants to hear the rest of this amazing story. And we will be back. John Henry, your name. My name is Rick Young. This is What's in Your Hand. The story's so amazing. I didn't even say your name again. It's John Henry, and I'm Rick Young.
All right.
What's in your hand?
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Welcome to WHCR's Community Calendar, keeping you abreast of events in Harlem and throughout the tri-state area. The following events will take place from Friday, March 13th through Friday, March 20th, 2015. On Saturday, March 14th at 8 a.m. is the first ever New York Roadrunners Times Square Kids Run at the United Airlines NYC Half. This event will give kids a chance to stop traffic in Times Square while they run a thrilling 1,500 meters.
All kids will receive an official event souvenir. This event is free, and for more information, visit nyrr.org. On Sunday, March 15th from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. at La Maison de Art Gallery is the Sugar Hill Market. Harlem's popular brownstone market will be indoors with 2 floors of designers and artisans who create everything from fashion and home furnishings to beauty products and artisan foods. This event is free and open to the public, and for more information, call 718-593-4108. On Thursday, March 19th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Riverbank State Park is the 20th New Works and Young Artists Series. Join Ice Theater of New York for the signature educational program geared towards public school students from Harlem, Washington Heights, the Bronx, and Queens. Talented student apprentices will perform alongside professionals in free performances. For more information on this event, call 212-929-5811. On Friday, March 20th at 10:30 a.m. at the George Bruce branch of the New York Public Library, Dances for a Variable Population presents the Movement Speaks Harlem Workshop. Celebrate moving in strong and creative ways. Older adults of all ages and abilities are welcome. For more information on this free event, call 347-683-2691. If you have an event that you would like to place on our calendar, please call 212-650-7481 or email communitycalendar@whcr.org. Submissions must be made 3 to 4 weeks prior to the event. This is Huma Saida for WHCR 90.3 FM, the voice of Harlem.
Hey, this is Donna, and I want to personally invite you to my restaurant, Home Sweet Harlem. Home Sweet Harlem is a lovely American bistro located at 1528 Amsterdam Avenue between 135th and 136th Streets. You can join us for a good cup of coffee, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Our menu includes heart-healthy foods like a variety of fresh mixed salad greens, grilled garlic shrimp, smoothies, and fresh juices. The amazing St. Nicholas Park turkey burger and the grilled marinated chicken kebabs are among our most popular dishes. Our weekend brunches include a delicious farmer skillet, which is a baked omelet, and it's baked in a cast iron skillet and served with homemade biscuits. We also offer an affordable meeting space for community groups, art shows, and live music. That's Home Sweet Harlem, located at 1528 Amsterdam Avenue between 135th and 136th Streets. You can reach us at 212-926-9616.
Oh, you saw that? You kind of alert there, man.
But yo, that song that you put on, bro, gave me chills.
Yeah?
Beyonce?
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
John Henry was a steel driving man, drove steel all over the land. And he said, "For I let that old steam driven sucking wind, Lord, Lord. 'Cause that's my hammer sucking wind. John Henry, he had a sweet little woman. Her name was Polly Ann. And while Johnny was sick and he lay down on his bed, little Polly drove that steel like a man, Lord, Lord. Polly drove that steel like a man. John Henry hammered in the mountainside till his hammer caught on fire. And the last word that poor John Henry said, give me a cool drink of water before I die, Lord, Lord. Cool drink of water before I die. They took John Henry to the graveyard, 6 feet under the sand. And every time a freight train would come a-rolling by, they'd say, yonder lies a steel driving man, Lord, Lord. Yonder lies a steel driving man.
Oh, you know that song, huh? Wow. John Henry, man, he was a bad dude. And so are you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Rick Young, another segment of What's in Your Hand here at WHCR. And my guest today is John Henry, entrepreneur, that's sharing some of his amazing story. And we're going to get back to the story, but I want to let him know, I want to play this song for him to let him know that.
Please, please do.
Let him know.
That first song you played gave me chills, man, with Beyonce.
Yeah, well, let's see. Let's see how you like this one. I haven't played this in a while.
We're going to change the world.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I believe it's not too late. Together we can change the world. Lay the puzzle pieces out. Find out what it's all about. Together we can change the world. Can't do it by myself, so I'm asking for your help. Together we can change the world. Sail past where it's been charted. Roll your sleeves up, let's get started. Together we can change the world. Together we can change the world.
Yes, 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 indeed. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we will.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rick Young. I have a very, very special guest, John Henry, from the land of Santo Domingo, the Dominican Republic. Wait a minute. I'm saying Santo Domingo.
Talk to me.
Santo.
유난히 평범해 보이는 한 청년.
I'm saying Santo Domingo, but Santo Domingo is a city in Dominican Republic.
Yeah, that's right. It's yeah. I mean, my parents are from La Romana, so it's like a small town. But yeah, I mean,
is it true you can pick mangoes and fruits and stuff off the trees?
Oh, it's definitely true, man.
Wow,
it's definitely true. You could walk down the streets like cobblestone. It's a pretty poor country, but it's beautiful.
And the beaches are nice.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Beyond nice.
When it comes to Puerto Rico and Santo Domingo or Dominican Republic, I hear that they go there, they have a wonderful time.
Yeah. No doubt, and it's cheap to vacate over there.
Okay.
So I would recommend it.
All right.
Cool.
So we want to get back. Where did we leave off at in the story?
I was just starting like.
Before we start,
yeah.
Anybody want to give a shout out to your lady?
Yes, absolutely. Shout out to my lady Amy. Shout out to.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Love you so much. Shout out to the Co-Found crew. That's my latest project, which I'll talk about in a minute. But those are my business partners and best friends. And to you guys, the listeners. I want you guys to hit me up on Twitter. It's at John Henry Style. So at John Henry Style. Drop me a tweet. Give me, give me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. You like it, you don't like it. You want to connect. I'm always here for you guys. So again, on Twitter, hit me up at John Henry Style.
And I you know what? It's terrible. I don't have it in front of me. The police department, the 26th precinct Twitter handle. They want me to share that with the community.
Oh.
So when I get next, I'll have it by Sunday.
That's a promise.
Yeah, I'll have it by Sunday. But I'm letting you know, if you look go to Twitter and you put in 26th precinct, I'm sure their handle will come up.
Yeah. I'm sure it will.
Yeah. So I'm already signed up with them. We not signed up.
You following them?
I'm following them.
That's right.
On Twitter.
I'm following you, man. You gotta follow me back.
Yeah, you have a lot of followers. I'm following you on Twitter.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, not so much, but I have like close to 4,000 followers.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Something like that.
I like Twitter. I like Twitter better than Facebook.
Me too, man. Facebook is all right. That's all I'll say.
I don't like their privacy issues. They just everything boom.
Right.
I might not want to put everything out there. So, let's get back.
I got the handle, by the way. Just in from my lady. So it's at NYPD 26PCT. So that's the 26.
Yeah, right. That's what it is.
That's NYPD 26PCT.
And so we want to develop a good relationship with the police department.
Absolutely.
I think they're our friends. We ain't committing no crimes, so they are our friends, and they're here to keep the community safe.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if we develop a relationship, usually you built relationship at your job, and that made a
That's the most important thing
difference
in the world, I think.
I got some people. So I've been doing this show now I've done over 600 shows. So that means that those are relationships. Mm-hmm. I got some people. We already got the 3 Dominican brothers.
Right.
And I got some more people
I
want to introduce you to.
You must know a ton of guys.
Now, do you do any public speaking?
I do, yeah, I do. I just, my last one was a couple days ago. I spoke at the computer science opportunity fair. It's like this big thing that the city throws every year.
Wow.
And I spoke next to some incredible people, man. The chief data officer of the New York Times, the head of Facebook NYC, Sircon.
Wow.
I mean, just some folks who I was like, wow, I'm honored to be on this panel next to these guys. It was amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's continue with the story. The story's so good, man. It's
thanks,
are we gonna be able to get it all in?
Yeah. You know what?
Come back.
I'm gonna leave out I'm gonna speed it up a bit and like try and leave out some of the details. I'm so detail oriented that it's easy for me to just saturate the story and like make it colorful because I like writing and speaking and stuff like that. But I think just the main details is fine, right? So to pick up where I left off, right? I just started this cleaner. I was just starting to hustle, and I actually got fired from my job because some of the
doorman job.
I got fired from the doorman job. Some of my coworkers were a little sour that I was like, I had my business on the side and stuff like that. So they told my boss that I was making residents customers, and that's a conflict of interest. That's not true. Anyways, they let me go. Turns out the same week they let me go, right? Just a week prior, one of the residents had told me, he said, John, I was spreading the word. I said, yo, I'm leaving. I'm going to start dry cleaning. He said, you starting to what? I said, I'm starting a dry cleaner. Why? He goes, well, wow, man, I've been working in the film and TV industry for the last 25 years, and we have yet to find a dry cleaner that can meet our crazy demands because they shoot at night and stuff. He goes, what time you get off? I said 11. At this time, I was promoted to the afternoon shift. So he goes, all right, I'll be here. 11:30, he shows up, and he takes me onto the set of a movie called The Wolf of Wall Street. And so I met Scorsese and Leonardo DiCaprio in passing, and he introduced me to the wardrobe supervisor, who's the person in charge of all the clothes. That's really my the main contact there. I care more about the wardrobe supervisor really than Leo, right? Because Leo's a celebrity, but this guy is the guy who's going to give me all the business. So he asked me a ton of questions. I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. At the end of the day, I said, look, man, I don't know, but I'm going to work really hard. And anyways, time passed. I didn't get the call back. My boys are ragging on me like, yo, where's Leo now? Right? And but the same week, this is what I was talking about earlier, the universe conspires with you if you have faith. The same week I get let go of my job, I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to go in 100%. And I was I was waking up really, really early and hitting the streets, hitting the pavement, and hustling. And that same week, the guy called me and he said, John, you still ready to do those clothes for Wolf of Wall Street? I said, what? So we went over there. We did the first batch of clothes. We did a great job. And that's because my dad, who was pressing, he was the one pressing all the clothes. And my dad told me, John, how am I going to bust my ass for another dry cleaner and not for my son? So he made sure that all the clothes that were coming out were 100% tip top. And so we did a good job with them. And then the word started spreading. Yo, this is kid John Henry.
Wait a minute, are you still working with Hugo?
At this point, I had left working with Hugo, and that's a good catch. The reason is Hugo had his different school of thought when it came to business. Hugo was all about fast and cheap, fast and cheap. If you wanted the cheapest prices and the fastest work, you went to Hugo. But for me, because I was coming into my own now as an entrepreneur, I realized I cared more about quality and craftsmanship and culture and building a real company. So we had stopped doing business, but it's still all love. I told him, yo, I'm gonna go and send the work over to my pops because, he's really gonna take care of it the way that I want, and all kinds of stuff. And we totally agreed. It was nothing but love. He was happy to get me started, and from that point on, that's it. All hell broke loose, right? So I was sending the clothes to my pops. We did a great job. Next thing you know, after The Wolf of Wall Street, the dude goes, hey, there's a new movie starting. You might want to pick it up, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Boom, bag that contract. And then all of a sudden, John Henry was on the map, John Henry Cleaners. So while Amazing Spider-Man 2 was happening, they say, hey, there's a really a big account, dude, and if you get that, I will tell you, you're going to have clothes for days. And the name of the account is Boardwalk Empire. They're just starting back up. And I got chills because I knew the show. And I said, hey, well, you have the contact? She said, absolutely. Gave me the contact, cold called the dude, said, hey, so-and-so put me on. Before you knew it, Boardwalk Empire. After that one, Law and Order. After that one, Person of Interest, White Collar, Orange is the New Black, The Good Wife, Girls, Ninja Turtles, Hostages, The Americans. I ended up dominating the entire film and TV industry, at least 90% of it, single-handedly. And at this point, I had made enough money. I'd bought a car. I was zipping back and forth. So I did that for a year, man. I did that for a year. A lot of hustle. I was waking up at 5 in the morning, tagging clothes, taking it to the dry cleaners, going over here on the phone. I didn't have an assistant, so I created a fake email. And I called Elisa, so I had like an assistant, but it was really me answering the email. So they thought that I had like an administrative assistant and in a billing department, but I was doing everything, hustling really hard. And after a year, I said, I got to take this to the next level. So I put up a storefront, and that's really when I started getting serious about entrepreneurship, right? So And I put it right here in Harlem, man. I fell in love with Harlem. It was only natural for me. I put it right on 5th and 118th. And at this point, I had rebranded the business because I knew that John Henry, it was never going to be bigger than John Henry if it was named after me. So at this point, I called it Mobile City. And the whole logic was, that we come to you. So mobile, the city that, that is always on the move. So, and at this point, I said, why just stop at dry cleaning? Why not introduce housekeeping and dog walking? Because I knew that those were some of the services that the residents were asking me for when I was a doorman. So I hired 2 customer care reps, and I learned so many lessons, man. They, they didn't know what the hell to say when people called them, and I just thought that they would have the same knack that I did. And that's when I realized, oh man, I have to train people. So I trained them, got them up to par. Then I brought in a few drivers. I bought an extra van. Then I brought in housekeepers. I brought in dog walkers. Before you knew it, I was building a real nice team. And then that's when I realized, man, my design is terrible, like the brand. So I brought in a creative director, a guy who I became good friends with. His name is Omesh. And he started handling the brand for us. And that's when I started learning about marketing, customer acquisition costs, monthly active users, like all the tech terms, all the buzzwords now that you hear entrepreneurs say. Before all that came hustle, right? So and that's the most important thing for me. And my new business now, which I'll talk about later, we're all about hustle. But anyhow, the real big change was when I brought in our CTO, so our Chief Technology Officer. And now we started building some incredible software around the whole company, right? Because we realized that that's the direction that the industries were moving in, and no one in my industry was doing anything like that. So we created some incredible software, and before you knew it, people were able to online book their appointments, and with the tap of a button, they would, you could schedule a pickup, and within a couple hours, you had someone there picking up your clothes, or cleaning your house, or even walking your dog. And so we started gaining some incredible traction, and eventually it was enough for this dude. His name is Rudy. Maybe I shouldn't be saying names because we have a non-disclosure, but sorry. There was this dude who was really interested in what we were doing. He had bought one of the laundromats that we were sending the volume to, because at this point we had several vendors. We had so much volume that we were sending it to one laundromat, 2 laundromats, a couple of dry cleaners, etc. And he bought one of the laundromats that we were sending the clothes to, and he was watching the numbers. They were going off the charts, and we were growing very quickly. And when he took over, he's like, yo, who is this kid? So when we met, he knew everything there was to know about us, anything that was public, which tells me, all right, this guy's smart. He does his research, right? Because all you got to do is type in Mobile City and just digest every little bit of information that was out there. It's just a matter of whether you're going to do it or not. And he did the work. And so eventually he sat me down and he said, John, have you ever, I'm interested in what you guys are doing. Have you ever considered selling the company? And at that point, I was like, whoa. I didn't even know that I could sell, and so it's kind of a cool time, because at this point I gathered up a bunch of my boys, a bunch of my boys who were in the company. We put together a real nice pitch deck, and we said, dude, if we're gonna sell it, see what the hell we can get for it. So we organized like a presentation, and I called a bunch of people that are known to acquire businesses and investors and stuff. And I said, hey, I got a real nice presentation for you. Come out. No one said no, because they were, at least want to see what's up. And we sat them down. And we had one buyer from Wednesday to Friday. So buyer Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we had back-to-back presentations. And I'll never forget, man, the first presentation, I was stuttering. And then the technology broke down, and it was real embarrassing. But we had 24 hours to make it better. So by Thursday, it was even better. And then by Friday, it was as tight as it could be, and it was no coincidence that we left the originally interested buyer at the end, and the offers started flowing in. No one said no. Someone, naturally, the guys who got the rawest pitch, they offered, they lowballed us. The guy in the middle offered to license the software, which is cool because we never even knew that we could do that. But then the originally interested buyer, no gimmicks, man. No BS. He said, John, I'm gonna meet you at your asking price. He didn't even try to negotiate. He said, I'm going to meet you at your asking. And I'll never forget, man, I was with my 2 buddies and now business partners meeting, the first meeting we ever had for our latest venture called Co-Found Harlem. The first meeting, we're having a drink, and this guy actually dropped me a text, and he said, hey, I'm gonna meet you at asking. So when I actually found out about it, man, I broke down into tears. I had to excuse myself. I went into the bathroom for a minute, and it was all coming back, man. All the hard work that I put in. You know, my family was supporting me. Late nights, early mornings, tagging clothes. Just like there were some times where I was like questioning, like, what the hell am I doing, man? Because I dropped out of college to pursue this dream of entrepreneurship, which is one of the scariest things I ever did. You know, because the college is a safe traditional path, and for me, that wasn't really about it. For me, why would I want to study about business when I had the opportunity to do it? So I left and I did it, and it was worth it, man, because we ended up selling the company. So that's the whole story of Mobile City, and now I have a new venture which I want to talk about in a minute. But you know, I just want to take a break. I don't know if you got any questions or anything.
Man, that was just an amazing story. And so you still keep in touch with Hugo?
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
in contact with Hugo?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He's one of my close boys, you know. Oftentimes I hit him up. I'll go through, and he's real savvy. He's got a clear head. He doesn't drink or anything, but we'll go through. We'll sit down. We'll break bread and just talk, man. Good dude.
I know your dad is real proud of the work that you did.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just proud to be his son, man.
But also, it seems that there's a thread that keeps from the beginning, even before you were born. Cleaners, dry cleaners.
Yeah, it's weird. It's really weird. It's really, really weird because I worked as a bag boy for a cleaner. My dad put me onto that. And then when I was doorman, I was handling a lot of dry cleaners. And then the man who ended up being a huge influence in my life ended up having a chain of dry cleaners.
Yeah.
And then my first business opportunity was that, and my pops was already dry cleaning, so
Right.
it just kind of made sense. It's kind of weird, man. Serendipitous. It's how it all comes back.
You sure your name is George Jefferson?
That's funny, man.
Hey, Wheezy.
Wheeze.
Yep. So I tell you, man, this is an amazing story because it gives people confidence. Your story, it gives people confidence to say, hey, you know what? I can do it. But you put in some hard work.
There's a
And
lot of
people
hard
don't
work.
understand that people that are successful, they work smart, but they work hard.
That's right.
You know, and like we listen to the song, you know, Beyonce, like you said, man, we could work harder.
That's right.
At what we're doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, man, and I'm quite a spiritual guy, you know. I think that a lot of people get caught up in the how-tos and the formulas and the this and the that's, but a lot of people will ask me, like, John, you know, what did you do? Like, what was your secret? And for me, it was actually cultivating that inner voice that we all have, you know, is that intuition, right? Because we're smarter, we have more wisdom than we think we do. And Wayne Dyer, who's been a great like spiritual teacher in my life, I always like read his books and stuff. I was watching a sermon of his. He says life de-geniuses you.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, that's powerful, right? Because we're all geniuses, but then, you know, when you go to school, is not the creative answer, is the right or the wrong answer. You know, you get caught up in what you're seeing on TV is the perception of what you got to be doing. Your friends are doing this. Your parents tell you to do that. Your parents love you, but they're still biased, you know. They're still just telling you what their idea for you is. And so, you know, you go on and maybe you have this voice or this idea that you want to do. And then at the end of the day, you know, after all these years of schooling and everything else, you walk out of it and, you know, you doubt yourself and you say, you know what? It's just a hobby or it's just a pipe dream. You know, I should go on and work this job or do what they tell me to do. And for me, it's always been about listening to that voice. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you, you know, so I was a boxer. I was a professional boxer. You know, decent, a pretty good boxer.
Nice.
I held my own. After 22 matches, I won 18.
Nice.
I beat 2 world champions.
Nice.
But they didn't have the belt when I beat them. One I beat, and he won the title after.
Okay.
I beat him. He became champion. And then one guy had lost the title, and I beat him. He had like over 50-something fights. He was very experienced, and I beat him. But what all of that tells me is that I had the qualities and the potential to be a world champion.
Absolutely.
Boxer. But I didn't. And the reason why, because I don't think I worked hard enough. And I mean, that's just what it is.
Man, it takes a lot to admit it.
If I'd have worked harder, I would have won a championship. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I had a great teacher, Bobby McQuillan. One of the things that I always remember that he said, if you take the person, he said the man, but if you take the person with the most knowledge in the world and you put that knowledge in a dropper and you fly over the ocean and you drop that knowledge, you drop it from the dropper into the ocean, he said it wouldn't even make a ripple. That's how much knowledge that it is to learn in the world.
Absolutely.
And so that's some of the stuff that he used to share with me. He was my boxing teacher. He was very wise. He was an older man. He was very wise. He was in his 60s. Gray hair. He always has gray hair going
He's like
back.
a life coach, too.
Yeah. He lived, and he used to hang out with Miles Davis. He taught Miles Davis boxing.
Wow.
It's in the book. If you look at Miles Davis' book, you will see Bobby McQuillan name in there as he trained Miles Davis.
Wow.
So, you
That's
mentioned Miles earlier.
Yeah, it's big influence.
Yeah, quick. I know this is your time. This is your story, but just real quick. I'm in the gym. I'm training. I'm in Gleason's gym. They was in Manhattan at the time. This is way before they moved to Brooklyn. So I'm in the gym. Bobby said, get in the ring, shadow box. So I'm in the ring, shadow boxing, moving around. And so this guy standing against the wall. I'm like, he's looking at me very intently. So intently that it was almost uncomfortable. I'm like, who is this dude watching me? Like, he was like staring, like he was looking. All right, I'm boxing, moving around. So Bobby said, all right, come on, we're going to come out the ring. We're going to go in the back where the bags are. We're going to hit the bag.
Yeah.
Work on your moves on the bag. So as we started walking to the back, then this guy started coming to the back. And I'm hitting the bag. He's looking. And he lights up a cigarette. I said, whoa. I said, no. You can't. You got to take that in the front. You can't even smoke in the gym now.
Right.
But back then you could. I said, no, we back here working out, man. You got to take that back in the front. Come back here smoking. I had an attitude. he went. He didn't say nothing. He just went in the front. So I'm hitting the bag, practicing. So later on, upstairs, I was doing my table work, exercise, calisthenics after I finished boxing. And he was up there talking to Bobby. And come to find out the man was Miles Davis.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't even know it.
Wow.
We never had words. We never had words.
Oh, he's a man of few words, though.
Except when I told him, I said, no, you got to take that up front, man.
Wow.
I had an attitude. I didn't like it. I didn't know who he was. The question is, if I knew who he was, would I still have said, you got to take that?
That's a good question, actually.
Huh?
That's a good question.
Yeah, because
it's one of perception.
Usually when people smoke, I usually say something. I interviewed Chris Gardner.
Okay,
I don't want to put his business out on the street, but I went to his place where he lived. He had one of those big, huge windows overlooking Central Park, something like what you saw.
Uh-huh.
I was like, my God, I've seen the view, like overlooking Central Park.
Wow.
Huge window, wall, ceiling to floor.
Yep.
And when I went in, he was smoking a cigarette. And I didn't say anything. But I'm in his house. I mean,
right. Well, that's different. You're in the man's territory.
But, for some reason, I didn't say anything.
If you would have known it was Miles Davis, would you have said anything?
I don't know. I don't know. It's different because I'm back there. I'm working out.
Right.
And I was interviewing Chris Gardner, and I said, how do you feel about your president? He said, next question. And for some reason, I said, why do you think LeBron James is a great basketball player? Like, what is his greatness? He said, next question. 2 in a row. I was like, oh, wow.
Wow.
And then I don't remember what the third question was, but whatever it was, he got it rolling. Because I'm thinking he would have probably said, you know what? We need to reschedule this.
Wow.
And I got the interview. It was a great interview.
Nice.
It wound up being really a good interview, but it started off like I was on the ropes like this. I was taking some punches.
Muhammad Ali's type.
Yeah, I was rope-a-doping, man.
Oh, man.
So, co-found Harlem.
Co-found Harlem. Yes. Let's talk about that. Yeah, man. It's a great thing. It's a few of my buddies and I. We realized we were looking at the landscape of Harlem, and we saw a great opportunity to make an impact, right? Because I was just coming off the acquisition. My prior CTO is my partner, and then one other kid who's become a close friend of ours. And he's also involved in startups. He's a CTO for his company, and they're doing incredible things. They have $20 million of revenue lined up for the year already. And he's 23. They're killing it. So yeah, we're like, man, we love Harlem. We love what's going on here. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of change going on. Sure, there's gentrification, but the old guard is trying to fight it. I say the argument's been done. Let's embrace it and preserve culture, and let's be proactive about the change. And we had conversations about this kind of stuff daily, and we have a good camaraderie. Our idea of a good time was just having a couple beers and sitting at the whiteboard and trying to draw like what's the next problem we're gonna solve. Just stuff that entrepreneurs do, and that's when we realized, man, what if we take this camaraderie that we have and bring it to Harlem as a whole. And we realized that innovation in Harlem has been stifled, and that's mostly because you either it's so cliquish here. You got to know this person, or if you ain't black, you ain't going nowhere, or if you ain't been here for this long, then you ain't going nowhere. And we thought, man, innovation is just about embracing change and new ideas and inspiring that kind of activity, no matter where you come from, especially in a town that's changing so rapidly. So we put it together, and we said, you know what, we're going to disrupt this whole place. So we looked at the landscape. There's a lot of nonprofits. There's a lot of co-working spaces. There's a lot of all different kinds of work. But eventually what we landed on is, you know what, let's create a program. And here's what it is. We create a program where we look for entrepreneurs and early stage companies with a promising idea. Just I'm trying to give the opportunity back that I had because I feel so grateful. So anyone who's got a lot of heart and an early stage prototype, right? So it doesn't have to be a tech thing. People think entrepreneurship is tech. It's not. Entrepreneurship is just hustle. So, it doesn't matter what your idea is, but if you say, look, man, I got this so far, and with your help, I could take it here, right? So we open up the application process. We're looking for these companies, and what we give you guys is resources. So I was looking at my experience with Mobile City, and I thought, all right, most accelerators give money. So we're an accelerator. Most accelerators give money. But if you have money, what do you spend that money on? You end up spending it on resources, on branding, web development, technology, marketing. So we figure, why not leapfrog money and give you that stuff that you're going to buy anyways? So we give you resources. We give you mentorship. We cut a great deal with Google where they're supplying essentially employees to be like mentors for the startups. But it doesn't stop just at Google. We have mentors from the New York Times, from MSNBC, from Whcr, from Genius, a lot of cutting edge companies. We've put together a really nice panel of mentors. And the last piece of the puzzle is we give office space for free, right? So we have resources, mentorship, and office space for the cycle of the accelerator, which is 9 months.
Where's the office space located?
It's on 5th and 119th, 5th and 118th, right next to my old company, as it so happens. But
5th and 119th?
5th between 118th and 119th. So yeah, 1463 5th Avenue. 1463 5th Avenue. So anyhow, now here's a big twist. Here's what got Google to turn their heads and a bunch of the other companies. Accelerators normally take equity, right? So they'll take 4 to 10% of your company, and they'll give you all the stuff, and they pretty much are betting on you like jockeys and racehorses and stuff. But we, as a big screw you to the status quo, are taking 0% equity, 0% equity. The one thing that we ask of you is that you commit to headquarter back in Harlem. So it's a community building initiative, right? So that allowed us to cut a deal with a great real estate company called Artemis. They're really big here in the area, where they give us a nice space because these companies that are coming through here, they got to go somewhere, and they own a lot of the property here. So we worked out a nice deal with them. We worked out a deal with the mentors. We have the space in place. We have the companies are now applying. We're pretty excited about some of the companies that are coming through. Really, really exciting stuff. And yeah, the program kicks off fairly soon, man. And we have about another week of accepting and reviewing applications. So if anyone is listening and they feel like they have a good idea, but it's got to be a little bit beyond an idea, because we look for that. We look for the step from 0 to 1. It's not that hard to go from 1 to 2, but to go from 0 to 1, that's a really big commitment. So
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Young, another segment of What's in Your Hand, and my guest today, entrepreneur John Henry, from
Hey,
Co-Found Harlem.
Thank you.
And you were saying going from 0 to 1.
Yeah, 0 to 1. You know, we look to see an early stage prototype. And yeah, so if anyone listening, if you guys have a good idea and you're really about your business and you're hustling hard, it could be anything. We've had companies apply that are looking to solve the skin cancer problem. They have a device that measures UV radiation. We have another company on the other end of the spectrum that just does local delivery for restaurants, and we believe in him. We have companies that have clothing lines, like anything. If you have an idea or if you know someone, put them on to Co-Found Harlem, and you can find us on Twitter at Co-Found Harlem. Twitter is at Co-Found Harlem, or you can just go to cofoundharlem.com. We're there. Just drop us a line, man. We're really passionate about building up Harlem. That's why I'm so incredibly excited that you invited me to come speak here, man. It's been
So at Co-Found Harlem, is there a dash in there?
Nope, just at Co-Found Harlem. At Co-Found Harlem. Please do give us a shout. Yeah.
All right. And so I want to introduce you to the young man, the 19-year-old.
Totally.
This guy, young. He reminds me of you. Like, when you were reading this Atlas Shrugged book, I was like.
I was thinking of that story when you said yours.
I was like, huh. When you were saying it, I'm listening like, wait a minute. Because I told you I want to introduce you to this.
Yeah.
And then I meet the other two young brothers. And these guys, they're awesome. They're hanging out in the precinct with the community affair officers.
That's cool, man.
Like, they moving in the right direction. Whatever they're going to do,
movers and shakers.
they're going to be successful. Yeah, they're going to be successful. And they were cool. So I got to get back in touch with them, and we got to make this thing happen.
Man, when you called me yesterday, you said, hey, man, can you come on the show? I said, absolutely. But today I have a really busy day, actually. So you said, that's the first thing that came to my mind. It's like, damn, I'm not going to be able to make it. And then I said, what time? And you said 6 to 8. And I was getting ready to say, I'm sorry, I can't make it. And you're like, a.m. That's 6 to 8 a.m. And I was like, hallelujah, man. 'Cause I really wanted to make it. And you know,
Yeah.
I'm an early bird. So I love coming out here and doing something productive.
We
in the morning.
want to have you come back and just keep us posted on the work that you're doing. And
totally, man. I would love to.
yeah, I mean, the work that you're doing is really awesome. And we want to keep track of that and, you know, make contacts and connections.
Absolutely, man.
I know. So as I was saying earlier, I don't know if I ever finished saying that, is that I've done over 600 shows. So those are people that I know.
Right.
And some of them could be a good contact for you.
I would appreciate that, yeah.
So we'll see who will be a good fit for you to meet. You let me know. Hey, Rick, I need to meet someone that does this, or that.
Right.
I'll look
and
at
vice versa, man. Now at Co-Found, I really like this project because it's kind of at the intersection of a lot of things. So we're meeting a lot of entrepreneurs, but we're also meeting a lot of mentors, also meeting a lot of investors, real estate guys, politicians, you know, just we're at the intersection of everything creative. So so it's likewise, man. If you want to meet anyone, I'm happy to plug you in.
But what we got to learn how to do, which a lot of us have not learned yet, and that's in all businesses, all companies, communities, is how to really, truly work together. Like, really work together.
Right.
Because some people...
They'll just say it.
Yeah, but some people need you to hold their hand. Like, they got to do the work, but they at some point they need you to hold their hand until they get it rolling.
Right. Now, my philosophy with that is we're not here to hold hands. We're here to give you a gentle push to get you started.
Okay.
But when you you know, when you get into this whole thing of holding hands, although I understand what you're saying, but it can be dangerous because you can create a cycle of dependency where, you know, they have the training wheels and they never want to get off and they're always counting on it.
Well, you know what? You're right. They start on the training wheels, but at some point, they have to build that confidence to say, hey, you know what? I remember when I had my training wheels. I was riding my bike on my training wheels, and then they took the training wheels off. And it was like, I remember when I first was riding in the park, I was in a big park, and I was scared to turn. Bam! I ran right into the fence. I was scared to turn. And so, but eventually, I started making them turns.
That's right. That's right.
I wasn't running into that fence. I just did it one time. So my my Dominican brother, another one of my Dominican brothers, man. WT, William Torres. I'm like, yo, man, DR, man, is in full effect, man.
It's in the building, bro.
Huh?
It's in the building right now.
Yeah, really. So you got a busy day today. We pretty much at the end.
Yeah. I don't know. Let's see if I have any closing remarks. I do have just some closing remarks. It's just gonna be random, right? But things that I think I should.
I want to play a
vocalize.
quick song. Let me just see.
Yeah,
something.
yeah, go for it.
Try something. Let me see how this sounds. I think this is a European.
Hello.
Hi.
What's your name?
Malachi.
How old are you, Malachi?
I'm 9.
And where are you from?
London.
Okay.
North London.
Who are you with?
I'm with my mum. Yeah, and that's it.
I'm with my mom.
Are you a bit nervous? All right, Malachi. Good luck.
Good luck.
When you're ready.
This is what's the name of the show? American Idol, over there in London. I'm with my mom.
Listen
Malachi Paul.
to the sound from deep within. It's only beginning to find release. Oh, the time has come for my dreams to be heard. They will not be pushed aside or turned into your own. Oh, 'cause you won't listen. Listen, I am alone at the crossroads. I'm not a home in my own home. Said I'm trying to say what's on my mind. You should have known.
Wow. His mom had to come out. He started crying.
Brought tears to my eyes, bro. I'm not even kidding.
Before the break, Malachi Paul took to the stage.
What's your name?
Malachi. I'm with my mum.
One thing I'm worried about today is Malachi getting stage fright. He gets a bit nervous.
Yeah, sometimes I get a bit nervous and get a stage fright.
And I remember that mummy's backstage. Imagine me backstage doing, yes, Malachi, go Malachi, yes, Malachi. Think about that in your head. In front of big audiences, I would normally be in front of him. Now he's got to face the music on his own, and that's the one thing that I'm worried about. Not one of the judges will buzz you.
Get a bit honest, yeah.
Hopefully,
broke
even
down,
if he gets it a
man.
little bit shaky in the beginning, that towards the ending of it, he'll just sail through.
If I just stop, I can just look at her and then I'll just carry on singing.
Doing so good. He was doing so good. You okay to sing on? Yeah? Yeah, I can feel it. You tell me if you want to sing on it. You tell me. What would you want to do, sweetheart? You want to sing again, yeah?
He's 9 years old now.
That's insane.
Huh?
He's got a voice on
He
it,
wants
too.
to sing again.
He's gonna give it another shot. I was feeling when he was.
Yeah, he was good.
Just relax and enjoy it, Malachi.
Let's give him one more shot.
Listen to the song here in my heart. Melody I start but can't complete. Listen to the sound from deep within. It's only beginning to find release. Oh, the time has come for my dreams to be heard. They will not be pushed aside or turned into your own. Oh, 'cause
Awesome.
My brother right there. Huh?
Okay, Alicia.
Malachi, it's very, very simple. You are a star. It's a natural, raw talent. That's what we're looking for. That was amazing, sweetie.
David.
Yeah, I thought that was a really, really special audition. I agree with Alicia. You're a total star.
Simon.
America's Got Talent.
Well, I've got to tell you, what I like about you, you're brave. You know, you got off to a bad start, you picked yourself up, and people are going to like you a lot. Okay, let's go. David, yes or no?
$1,000,000% yes.
Alicia?
100% yes from me. Well done, Malachi.
Amanda?
Absolutely brilliant. Well done, yes.
You've got 4 yeses.
All right, Malachi. Malachi Paul. We're going to be hearing from him.
Yeah.
So we're at the end. Now my brother here, William Torres,
When you were up
was
there,
here.
the whole place got on their feet. The judges were up.
All
You
right.
got a standing ovation from everybody. How did that feel?
Felt proud.
Malachi Paul, he turned it out. So brother, we're at the end. That time went kind of quick, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, man, I want to thank you for having me. What's in Your Hand? It's been an incredible show. I've heard a lot about it. When I was at the Social Innovation Festival, I was friends with Monica, the lady who organized it.
Mhm.
She's like, you gotta meet Rick Young. She's like, where is he? And he had just disappeared. She's like, Rick. She said, you know what? He'll circle back around. She came back. She told me a little bit about you. And then she just made the intro, man. I'm happy that she did, bro.
All
You're
right.
Real good dude, real soulful dude. I can tell you're just into positive stuff.
Yes.
That goes a long way, man. Every song that you played, positive.
Gotta be.
Everything you mentioned, positive. All the stories, positive.
I learned from my brother here, William Torres.
Yeah, man. It's been great to be here, bro. Thanks so much.
All right, so thank you, and William Torres will be the next voice you'll hear. I'll see you Sunday. I got an incredible show Sunday.
Awesome.
Life-changing also. Cool.